And it looks like we are live. Good evening. Welcome to the Midweek Song Swap. We are Dan and Faith coming to you from Charlestown, New Hampshire. And this week we are swapping songs with Tom Smith, who's down in Dedham, Massachusetts, but does occasionally sneak up here to New Hampshire and hang out at his cabin up here. And one of these days we might actually be able to see your cabin, but obviously not this year because nobody's going anywhere.
It's a good place to sing.
I bet.
Yeah, well, we've seen videos you've done there. It's great.
Yeah.
So.
I still think of apples and cheese.
Yes.
With the girls.
Apples and cheese might appear this evening.
That would be fun.
That would be fun.
That would be a lot of fun.
I would love that.
That video was fun.
Yeah.
Well, let's get started. Hi, Rick Allendorf. Just popped in.
Hey, Rick.
And we will start off with a song for Sam W. Make sure I pop Tom backstage. There we go.
Yeah, this would have been week 2 of Sam W. And like all of us who are not up there this week, we are missing the fact that we are not up there this week. And this song was written in 2011 when we could not be there week 2, but all of our friends were.
Ready?
Yep.
In my mind I see the inn and rocking chairs, sit myself down in cool evening air. It's gathering time, yet I sit here alone. My heart aches to be there, my favorite home. Pull out my guitar, just another night. Sing my songs, try to play all right. In another town, and though the folks are kind, I long to be with you up there among the pines. 'Cause I'm homesick tonight for a place that's not my home, for a family I miss wherever I roam. When we're together, troubles depart. When we're together, strengthens the heart. Up by the lake, you're all gathered round, filling the air with joyous sound. Echoes of laughter, oh so divine. The sound of your singing, sweeter than wine. 'Cause I'm homesick tonight for a place that's not my home, for a family I miss wherever I roam. When we're together, singing with glee, when we're together, all can be free. I made my own choices, no cause to complain, but summertime skies starting to wane. As I look up at bright evening stars, I dream of that place where you are. 'Cause I'm homesick tonight for a place that's not my home, for a family I miss wherever I roam. On the shores of a lake, buildings of wood, where I long to be, where I'm understood, where I long to be, where I'm understood.
For all our Sam W. friends.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to get there one of these days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you definitely have to come up and do a full week with us sometime.
You would be in heaven with the rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the winter weekends and stuff are fun and nice, but the whole week up
week
there is just really special.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As someone pointed out in Lorraine and Bennett's jam session the other night, it was kind of novel to be sitting there listening to the jam session and not be falling asleep.
The jam session usually starts
totally
like 10 or
exhausted.
11 and goes until 2 or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So why don't you play us something, Tom?
Well, okay, so you're talking about New Hampshire, right? So let's do this one. This is one of those songs that I wrote with my daughter Mally. We just one day, I got this little thing in my head, and we both took out pencils and we each started writing, and I'd write a line and she'd write a line, and and in almost a few minutes, this is what popped out. Over the mountain, the valley below, the deep granite sunrise, waking up slow. Come, feathered musicians, let the concert begin, with notes that take wing on the New Hampshire wind. We're joined by the bullfrogs with well-tempered scale, a squirrel conductor keeps time with his tail, while here on the front porch, neath a roof made of tin, I'm singing along with the New Hampshire wind. It's got a little chorus like this. La 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 la. I hear ya. My axe and the woodpile call me away, but the blessings of hard work must wait while I play. This day strikes my heartstrings like an old mandolin that's strumming a tune with the New Hampshire wind. And the trail up the mountain is a slow, lazy climb. I find myself walking in 3/4 time. I can see from the summit where I have been and where I am going with the New Hampshire wind. Here we go! La 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 la. Good night to the mountain, the valley below, the deep purple sunset, the moon coming up slow. Hear the voices of coyotes, my kith and my kin, all share the same song with the New Hampshire wind. A harmony song with the New Hampshire wind.
Yeah.
Love that song.
I was hoping that was what you were talking about when you said New Hampshire. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it really is that way up here. It's awesome.
Yeah.
We're we spent 30 some odd years in Massachusetts, and
We were in Bolton for 23. We were in Clinton for 7 before that. We were
actually a
in,
year and a half. It's more than 30 years.
yeah, and then
Wow.
we were in
Marlborough for 9 months.
in Norwood before
and
that.
Norwood for a year and a half. So yeah,
Norwood for a couple of years. You were there a year and a half. I was there longer.
yeah.
Well, when I took a little trip from Jaffrey, which is where that song was basically about, the mountain was Mount Monadnock. You have a different mountain up there. It took a lot of sort of 1.5 lane roads to get over there.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a lot of roads around here that the GPS knows about that don't exist.
or they exist only during the summer because
Yeah.
nobody plows them in the winter. There was one our GPS tried to send us down the other day, coming off up near Bascom's.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, there's no road there.
Yeah.
But apparently in the summer there is.
There's a dirt
Yeah.
track. Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah, you hear stories of the city slickers getting stuck on logging roads like that in the
Oh,
winter.
yeah.
I saw a sign the other day somewhere that was, not safe for winter travel or something on one of those dirt roads. Just because
It was here in town too.
I think it was.
Yeah. Great
Well,
fun.
thought we'd do something that's sort of the same general direction.
And we are definitely getting into harvest season. We've been eating enough zucchini to kill an army here. And
Well.
by the way, a quick hi, Marion. Good to see you, or not see you, but you know what I mean. So
Yeah. So this is called Harvest Time, and it's appropriate for this time of year. And I'll see if I can kill the mandolin player again. Last time we did this, I did it very
a little
fast.
faster than expected. Yeah.
Ready?
Yep.
Crisp New England air on an autumn morning. Songbirds at the feeder greet sunrise as they sing. Leaves begin to fade in colors bright and bold. Whispers on the wind, another year grows old. Passing of the seasons, summer into fall. Soon enough, winter winds will sound their siren call. The years pass too quickly, and yet we can't complain. Come next year, we'll be right here rejoicing again. So set the table, light the candles, it's harvest time once more. Sunny days, chilly nights, wind knocks at the door. Apple pie from the oven, sure to delight. Celebrate this bounty in autumn's fading light. Clouds soar overhead through gently swaying trees. In this time of dreams and joyful memories, the firewood is stacked and the peaches have been canned, working hand in concert with the land. So set the table, light the candles, it's harvest time once more. Sunny days, chilly nights, wind knocks at the door. Apple pie from the oven, sure to delight. Celebrate this bounty in autumn's fading light. Harvest time is bittersweet, we cannot help but sigh. Another trip around the sun, days are passing by. As we settle into winter and cold winds start to blow, we'll think about next season and the crops that we will grow. Well, there's taters in the cellar and wheat to see us through. The kale will winter over till springtime skies turn blue. So set the table, light the candles, it's harvest time once more. Sunny days, chilly nights, wind knocks at the door. Apple pie from the oven, sure to delight. Celebrate this bounty in autumn's fading light. Celebrate together on this joyful night. Harvest time.
Bravo, bravo.
Now if we
You
just
have-
get our
you-
tomatoes to ripen, we'd be good.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have quite a garden up there.
We do. It's doing pretty well this year. We have a bunch of zucchini coming in, yellow squash,
Cucumbers.
cucumbers,
are
lots of
amazing.
cucumbers,
Cabbages like mad.
cabbages. We have some
Bowling ball
green
cabbages.
cabbages that are bowling balls that are I just brought one in the other day, and after I stripped off the outermost leaves that were a little bit bug chewed,
It was
I think
7 pounds?
you know, it was about 4.5 pounds.
Yeah, it was.
It'll
pretty
make
hefty,
some good meals. That's the second one I've brought in, and there's like 4 more out there.
At least.
And there's some Napa cabbage, broccoli,
Celery,
parsley.
The eggplants, I think we finally got a blossom.
Oh, good.
I think, maybe. No, maybe not. No, those the peppers we had the blossoms on.
And we have some winter squash. Friends from down in Kentucky sent us 6 seeds for Tahitian melon squash, which look like butternut, only with a neck that is like you get in the frame.
Yeah.
Like
They make these great big long necks.
They're really kind of rude looking,
but
they're really good.
we had some from a farm up here years ago, and these folks grow them and had saved seeds. They shipped us some.
Yeah.
So that'd be fun.
I'm never in one place long enough to make sure my garden is safe from all the critters and things.
Well, this year was unusual because we've been home. Last year we went off on the road, and when we came home, our weeds were up to here. So.
Yeah, I mean, we do have an electric fence around the garden,
Yeah.
which makes all the difference as far as critters.
Huge difference.
Especially since we have a whistle pig living in the neighborhood. And
Need a
he's
woodchuck.
He's popping in and out and running around, but he doesn't go in the garden because if he tries, he'll get his nose tickled.
And it is zorched.
Well, I wasn't planning on doing all sort of farmer songs, but you
No.
set this one up,
But-
so
Go for it.
my favorite food group. When I was a boy, I wasn't very bright. I didn't know much, but I knew what I liked. When the teacher sang the ABCs, all I could sing was apples and cheese, apples and cheese, apples and cheese. Some sing praise for carrots and peas, but nothing in the world can make a man say please, like a great big plate of apples and cheese. How about you? Yeah. Time came to learn about the birds and bees. My father shared his expertise. He said, son, there ain't no guarantees, except for the joys of apples and cheese. Apples and cheese, apples and cheese. Some sing praise for carrots and peas, but nothing in the world can make a man say please, like a great big plate of apples and cheese. You with me? Cortland, Granny Smith, Macintosh, Macomb, Cheddar, Gouda Brie, Swiss provolone. You'll never find me on a hunger strike. I never met an apple or a cheese I didn't like. Yeah, apples and cheese, apples and cheese. Some sing praise for carrots and peas, but nothing in the world can make a man say please, like a great big plate of apples and cheese. Yeah. So when I get to heaven, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll be singing in the choir with the angels who raise their hands from bended knees and praise the Lord for apples and cheese, apples and cheese, apples and cheese. Some sing praise for carrots and peas, but nothing in the world can make a man say please, like a great big plate of apples and cheese. It's apples and cheese, apples and cheese. Some sing praise for carrots and peas. Nothing in the world can make a man say please, like a great big plate of apples and cheese. Yeah, like a great big plate of apples and cheese.
Yeah.
Love that.
Somehow I had a feeling that harvest time might be a good feed-in for that one. So.
Well,
And,
it's it was one of those songs. Was kind of a knockoff song that I just did for fun, but it's become kind of an internet hit because when I was in New Hampshire with my daughter Mally and niece Meryl, they decided that the song needed a puppet video.
Oh,
So we all made puppets out of apples and string cheese and cheddar cheese and so it's become kind of an internet hit. If you just go to YouTube and Google "apples and cheese" Tom Smith, you'll find it.
And I highly recommend that you do go and Google it because
it's a really fun video.
It's a great video, and
It's
the
fun.
girls just are clearly having a great time with it. So.
We had fun with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we thought we'd at least follow that with something that had some humor. I was trying to come up with something good to follow.
I'll hold the pitch while you go set the guitar down. Let's hold that pitch.
When it's time to say goodbye to an old and faithful friend,
When she's gone as far as she can go, and this is the end.
we'll think about the good
And the
times
places that we've seen.
as they haul her off to meet her end, now called recycling. Her once fine threads are frayed and wearing thin.
Her sure footing, well, it's dancing round again.
Incontinence leaving puddles,
Behind her on the floor.
lost her wipers
Hubcaps
and fuel filler door. We get attached to our cars. They say a lot about who we are. But when it's time to say
We
goodbye,
leave 'em with the used car guy.
or send them to the crusher by and by. I miss my old VW bug. All those vacuum lines and spark plugs, heater boxes.
Carburetor.
Fix it yourself and you'll get there.
Well, later.
Each new car we get has new gadgets to try.
That much more to distract us when our task should be to drive.
They have a mind of their own,
Computers, some use the phone.
and a voice in the dashboard tells you how to get back home. We get attached to our cars. They say a lot about who we are. But when it's time to say
We
goodbye,
leave 'em with the used car guy.
or send them to the crusher by and by, send their souls to that scrapyard in the sky.
For a dear departed Volvo.
Such a sad song.
I know. Yeah.
And the car I drove today to Northampton drove itself the whole way, including changing lanes to go around people who were driving slower.
Modern technology.
Oh man, you tell me where you're going next time, and I'm gonna be going someplace else.
And I was hanging onto the wheel the whole time because
Just in
in
case.
case. But
That's right. You have one of those Elon Musk cars.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun.
it is
So
fun.
serious. So you did a self-drive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is not considered full self-driving in terms of like you can just like go to sleep. You have to hang onto the wheel.
Yeah.
But the latest software will change lanes. It will take the exit ramp sometimes faster than you're expecting.
So far, quite faster than you expected. It stops at stoplights.
Yeah, we were
That's
coming
the
down
cool
into
thing.
Ludlow last Friday, and we're doing about 50 miles an hour coming down the hill, and there's a stoplight out there. There's nobody around. I wouldn't have tried this if there's anybody around.
Yeah.
And it pops up a message saying red light in 500 feet, 400 feet, slowing down. Came to a stop at the stop line.
And when
Light
the light
turned
turned green,
green, it
it
started up.
up again.
I just can't wrap my head around that.
I don't quite trust it yet, I have to admit, but it is fun.
It is 90%, maybe 95% computer and about 5% car.
Pretty much. Gives new meaning to crashing the car though, because when the entire screen goes blank, that's not good. But it will drive, so yeah.
It's actually a lot of fun to drive. They're very zippy and handle really nicely on the road. And you don't have to have it drive. You can do your own driving, but sometimes it's nice on a long drive to just let it do its thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to take us in a different direction.
That's good.
This is my Margot and I have our 44th wedding anniversary coming up this Friday.
Oh wow! Happy
And-
anniversary, you guys.
Yeah, 44 years. And so I thought I would shake out this song that I wrote for our 35th wedding anniversary. And I was sitting in the cabin at night, the night before our wedding anniversary, and that's when I realized I didn't have a wedding gift. I mean, an anniversary gift for Margot. And, in Jaffrey, there's nothing really open.
There's nothing open, yeah.
Nothing open. I could have gotten her maybe a gallon of water or something. And so I all night long writing this song. So this is called One More Sail Around the Sun. A man can value work as measured by his wealth, take his share from others to benefit himself. His life played like a game of zero sum. I worked to share the joy as the sail climbed up the mast, as I pulled the sheet with those who bound their passion to the task. That's why sailors long for sea when work is done. That's one more sail around the sun. One more race that has been run. One more string to come unstrung when work is done. I recall those days we bounced our little babies on our knees. How could we be so blessed to share that work of families? Each day as if our lives had just begun. Time to us was kind, turned our winters into springs. As one by one our children felt the wind beneath their wings. Now we're looking back at work well done. And one more sail around the sun. One more race that has been run. One more string to come unstrung when work is done. Could it be life is a ship out on the sea? Love came aboard when you chose to sail with me. What could be the meaning of the turning of a year? The end of a beginning, the end of a career, a casualty of age to overcome, or the launch of an adventure, an old boat set to sea. Risk one more together, won't you sail this earth with me. Join our strength for work that's just begun. For one more sail around the sun. One more race that we can run. One more string that can be strung. Until work is done.
Yeah. Love that song.
Love that song. Remember when you brought that first out?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I hope Margot appreciated the effort and the song itself. So
Yeah, well, she says it was a lot better than beef jerky.
I second her on that. It was definitely better than beef jerky.
I think that's I got to add that to my website. Better than beef
Better
jerky.
than beef jerky. Perfect.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do one that I wrote for Faith, and then maybe we'll launch into some more
Topical
things.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Yeah. But yeah, years ago, and it's
12.
Good Lord, 12 years. Coming up on 12 years ago. You gave Margot that as an anniversary gift. Dan gave this to me as a birthday gift. And for any of you guys that are listening, if you want to really impress your lady, write her a song for her birthday or anniversary
or whatever. Yeah.
It worked for me. So.
That's what's called In My Dreams. I close my eyes and dream of unknown places. Of fairy. Let's start over. Get my lips moving.
There you go.
I close my eyes and dream of unknown places, of fairy tales and nightmares in technicolor hues, crowds filled with strange familiar faces, starlit skies and empty spaces, and I find you.
A hidden path within the mazes, vivid colors hidden within the morning dew. Moon shines bright in all its phases. In deep blue dreams, I will find you.
Through the years, my dreams recur. I've seen this all before. Yes, it's true, some nights life seems just a blur. But for the time I spend with you,
The days and nights that slip away, still I can't feel sad or blue. And though our hair is turning gray, in my dreams I dream of you.
it seems a lifetime since that day, and yet it also seems the time just flew together as we work and play. Forever in my dreams, forever I love you. I love you.
Yeah.
Bravo, bravo. I love that whole notion of writing a song for special occasions in a family. We do that all the time. A lot of the times it's just simple little parodies of things, for somebody's somebody's birthday rather than, I mean, that was a beautiful song, but most of the time they're silly songs. But there's also some really beautiful songs for special occasions.
I wrote one that we haven't performed in forever and probably needs a little bit of work, but it was about Passover at my grandparents' house.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother would cook up a storm for a week beforehand, and my grandfather would spend several weeks deciding what his teaching was going to be for that evening. And so it was always a special time in our family, especially even for the cousins who really weren't involved in Judaism at the time. But my family, my part of the family wasn't overly religious, but Passover was always a very special family time. So, so I think the song had something about Passover with family sermon and a feast.
Yep.
Something like that. So.
It's very special.
It is. It's great. It's a nice way to connect. And actually, one of my cousins, has carried on the Passover tradition my grandfather had done, and writes a new Haggadah every year. And
a new what?
Haggadah. That's the book, the storybook for
the script.
For the evening, but he writes his own using pieces of what would be in a normal Haggadah, but also using pieces from his sister's PhD thesis, some lines from That Song of Mine, some stuff from Gandhi, and
my favorite was one of the lines that he had in one of the sections that he had in there was a reading from the Quran.
Yeah,
which is probably fairly unusual for a Passover Haggadah. But,
wow.
But he found something that was meaningful, and he's open to peace and brotherhood, and his kids are open to peace and brotherhood, and it's just a wonderful thing.
Bravo. Well, you had talked about getting into some topical songs. You know that I did recently in March. I released an album of topical songs.
Yeah.
The subtitle is, it's called Planting in a Drought, and the subtitle is New Songs of Struggle, Protest, and Encouragement. Some of them are just straight up encouragement songs, and others songs about struggle in current events. But this is an election year, so I think I'm going to do one of the songs of protest for you. This one comes in the style of Woody Guthrie. Woody Guthrie made famous talking blues. So this is called Talkin' Election Blues. Maybe some of your listeners might have different politics, but I figure they're folk singers. They can at least appreciate the form. Here we go again, another election year. Politicians are on a tear. Some are pulling me to go out and vote. Others are pushing me to make sure I don't. Well, I'm registered and I vote. Some say when choosing who represents, we should put our trust in the 1%. Cut their taxes to the bone and fill our buckets with the money that trickles down. Let's see, that's 99 for the few and 1 for the rest of us. Yeah, that sounds just about right. I'm just a guy who works for a minimum wage. It must have been like this in the Middle Age, a servant to a feudal lord. I work for the guy with the biggest sword. I shouldn't complain, though, all this useful work I'm doing, building walls around the castle. Gotta keep out all of those job stealers. Now science says there is no doubt what's causing all these floods and droughts, but when we can't farm nor drink due to climate change, they'll still be drinking from their Coke machine. That's the Charles and David Coke machine. Champions of freedom, fossil fuel, with the best politicians money can buy. When they're God co-authors, the laws we make will be burning witches at the stake. And when we measure the freedom in our land by the count of guns in every hand, then we can thank or blame those of us who voted and those of us who did not. I'll tell it straight, I got a choice to make. Do I want to live in a country run by greed and hate, where black lives don't matter, facts are ignored, gender rights are on the cutting board? Yep, we have a choice to make. Will I see you in November? Vote.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody get out there and vote.
Yep.
It's an important year.
Yep. Yeah, this is a really important year to get out there and vote, and you know, I'm getting a little excited.
I watched
The last
the
couple
roll
of days-
call this morning.
Wasn't the roll call fascinating? I am particularly taken with Rhode Island.
Yep,
That actually made
big plate of
NPR
calamari. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the plate of calamari, and the guy just stood there holding the calamari while the guy talked about it. It was
And
hysterical.
apparently, it's actually state law that calamari is the state
It's
appetizer
the state appetizer
of
I-
Rhode
I
Island.
love
They
Rhode
actually
Island.
passed a law like
Yeah.
4 years ago.
A state
great.
appetizer.
Yeah.
Who knew?
And,
Go
yeah,
Rhode Island.
Yeah.
but the rest of them, oh my God,
It was really fascinating,
It was
and
really
seeing
moving.
the Marianas Islands and
Yeah,
Martha's
there
Samoa
are
and stuff.
some aspects of the convention that are better virtual, and that was one of them.
that was
Yeah.
definitely one. And all of the indigenous people and blacks and women and you know, yeah, there were politicians out there, but there were plain ordinary people out there too, and
Yeah.
it was beautiful.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah.
Truth.
So Emma is
She's-
speaking tonight.
Yeah. So yeah,
So we're going to do one that I wrote right after
Parkland.
But it also fits really well with the Black Lives Matter movement, and we have this out on video with BLM at the end of it. This is called Footsteps. Years ago, there were marchers in the streets on that Memphis night. A journey incomplete, left behind a legacy. Stand up for what's right, challenged us to carry on, marching to the light. They tried to kill the dream. Dreams live forever. We're born into children with nothing left to fear, passed on as spirit that can never die. History chooses you. This is your time in the footsteps of Gandhi and Martin Luther King. In the darkest hours, the chimes of freedom ring, speaking truth to power, showing us the way. We look to you to lead to a bright new day. Lean on one another when your strength wears thin. It's not a fight you asked for, it's one we must win. It falls on you to speak for your absent friends. Long past time we declare, never again. In the footsteps of Gandhi and Martin Luther King. In the darkest hours, the chimes of freedom ring, speaking truth to power, showing us the way. We look to you to lead to a bright new day. Nothing in your life will ever ease the pain, turn sadness into strength, and rise again. Reach out with hope to any who will hear. Love is the power that will conquer fear. In the footsteps of Gandhi and Martin Luther King, in the darkest hours, the chimes of freedom ring, speaking truth to power, showing us the way. We look to you to lead to a bright new day. Speaking truth to power, never turning away. We look to you to lead to a bright new day. Speaking truth to power, never turning away. This is the start of a bright new day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes indeed. That covers the bases.
It really does. And you know, Dan originally wrote it for Parkland, but more and more we started thinking about it really recently. We realized it fit for, you know, Black Lives Matter and just for the youth movement in the country in general. And
Yeah.
we are thrilled to see the number of kids and you know, young
Yeah.
adults that are politically active and getting out there and you know, motivating other kids and you know, we're there with all of you. And
Yeah, and the Parkland kids, the next summer, spent the summer traveling the country registering young folks to vote.
yeah.
And you know, they've dedicated their lives at this point to making a difference. And
Yeah. They're amazing.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's... I think I'll follow that with the song I mentioned before, Planting in a Drought, which is it's actually a metaphor. You know, it was inspired about the time of the Paris Climate Summit, and I was thinking to write a song about climate change, and the topic very quickly overwhelmed me. And so I decided to write it from the point of view of one farmer. The farmer in this song is kind of a composite of people I know and grew up with in Pennsylvania. And then I realized that it's funny how you can pretty much write a song and then have its true meaning jump out at you afterwards. That's what happened with this one, where
yeah,
I realized that it was a metaphor. I was feeling really anxious and upset and concerned, especially for those folks who are trying to do the best they can against overwhelming powers that are working against it. You know, the teachers of the world, you know, the conservationists, the peaceful protesters, you know, there are just so many powerful forces working against them. And so the whole planting in a drought thing is kind of a metaphor for that. I gotta get that one. E string doesn't behave on this one. That's good enough. Another day breaks, another hope wakes, another sun bakes my back from dawn till dusk. Why do I keep on planting the same song? They say it's all wrong, for my seed will turn to dust. But for me, everything I know is right here in these long straight roads. That's why I'm planting in a drought, planting in a drought. Right now it all seems like a bad dream. These fields were once green and filled with promise for my son, but he cannot do what I was born to. Only a damned fool would follow me into the sun. But sometimes I see it in his eyes. He wants to give it one more try. That's why I'm planting in a drought, planting in a drought. When they're explaining why it's not raining, the experts say things that I don't understand. I know that hard work can make my heart hurt, and then I feel this soft earth and my tools in these hands. For me, that's everything I know. It's right here in these long straight roads. I'm planting in a drought, planting in a drought. Another day breaks, another hope wakes.
Yeah. Love that. And especially, where we up here in New England are actually in, or where we are anyway, is in moderate drought.
Yeah.
But there are other parts of the country that are drowning at the moment. There are others that are on fire.
I've thought for years that instead of building pipelines for
Oil and gas.
and so forth, we should have water pipelines around the country, because invariably one part of the country has way more water than they need, and other places the reservoirs are dry.
Yeah.
And if we could just pump the water,
And if
I
you
don't know if
end
it's
up with-
practical, but
Yeah. And quite frankly, if you end up with a pipeline burst with a water pipeline, that's not so bad.
not nearly as deadly.
Yeah.
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 Well, we thought we'd try one of the new songs from last week.
Yeah, we had a theme this past month for our songwriter showcase of change, and both of us ended up writing ours right after John Lewis died, and I had actually gone on and started Googling John Lewis and change to see if he had any interesting quotes around that, because I was thinking I really wanted to do something around that, and he actually did, and I just couldn't figure out how to pull those together into a
And my song is all a tribute to
yours
John
is
Lewis, but
very, very heavily John Lewis.
we thought we'd do Faith's.
Yeah, and I just started doing wrote down the word change and just started, riffing on that and writing down thoughts that came to mind, and changing the guard, changing a diaper, and writing this, that, and the other, and suddenly the line "something's got to change" popped out of my pen and started flashing at me on the page, and so that's where I went with this one. And it will be a sing-along in those days when we finally get a chance to perform live in front of real people in
the same room.
In the same room. So feel free to sing along at home. Dan is actually
I'm going to attempt to sing along.
Dan's going to attempt to sing along. Fortunately, there's a very singable section in here. So it's called Something's Gotta Change.
You see it okay?
Yep. Tamari's playing with a toy gun in the park. Speak out, say his name. Officers arrive, shot him 2 seconds later. Something's gotta change. Eric Garner selling loose cigarettes. Speak out, say his name. Police chokehold meant he couldn't breathe. Something's gotta change. Blacks have been asking for 400 years, pleading, working, hoping. How many more black deaths will it take for white eyes to open? Stefan Clark on the phone at Grandma. Speak out, say his name. Cop who shot him thought the phone was a gun. Something's gotta change. Tatiana Jefferson gaming with her nephew. Speak out, say her name. Shot through the window on an open door check. Something's gotta change. Blacks have been asking for 400 years, pleading, working, hoping. How many more black deaths will it take for white eyes to open? Breonna Taylor sound asleep in her own bed. Speak out, say her name. Shot on a search warrant at the wrong address. Something's gotta change. George Floyd's 20 appeared to be counterfeit. Speak out, say his name. George stopped breathing with a knee on his neck. Something's gotta change. Blacks have been asking for 400 years, pleading, working, hoping. How many more black deaths will it take for white eyes to open? Something's gotta change.
Carry it on.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And
We'll work that one up a little bit more for duet.
yep, and a shout out to Deb Goss, who sent me a suggestion on wording on the chorus that I have accepted, and I think actually makes it a better song. So thank you, Deb.
Mm-hmm. Are you doing songwriting sessions sometimes on Zoom sometimes, or
We
whatever?
haven't
We
done
haven't.
that, and we should probably.
Yeah.
We've been doing the Serendipity show virtually.
Yeah.
So we're doing some writing for that, but we have not done a songwriters unfinished songs or new songs circle type thing. We should do that.
Yeah, and we had been doing a songwriters circle up here that Julie Snow has been running for apparently a lot of years.
Yeah. And occasionally over to Carl Beverly's place for similar.
Yeah. Though his is more a song circle.
Yeah.
As opposed to a songwriter
Critique circle.
Critique circle. But yeah.
Are you
So,
doing any of them?
I've been to a couple of those, and they've been invariably wonderful. So I'm looking at the clock here. Is this the last song?
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing a brand new song, kind of emboldened me. Here's a song that I think is done. I'm not certain. It's and it kind of fits to finish the evening with it. It's I'll give you a little background information on it. It was written. The melody was written by a friend of mine, who back in 1998, a long time ago, a fellow bandmate of his was leaving home and leaving the area, Massachusetts, and going to Minnesota to live. And so to honor her, right after their last gig, or at their last gig in the band, he wrote this melody called Leaving Home. And it didn't have any lyrics. And I asked him if I could write some lyrics to it, and he said yes. So it's very, very short. And because it's very, very short, I'll play the melody for you first, and then I'll play the one-verse song. Thank you, Dan and Faith. This has been wonderful. You are not leaving home. Home will go with you, though you and I be far apart. The seeds that you've sown have taken root and flourish in the hollow of my heart. While you are away, this tune for you I'll play upon my violin. With each stroke of my bow, long and slow, I will hold you until we meet again.
That's beautiful.
That is gorgeous. And as you said, absolutely beautiful thing to end on.
Mm.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank
It's
you.
been an absolute pleasure to see you again and get to play with you.
Thank you, Dan and Faith. Always a pleasure, anytime.
So we always enjoy getting a chance to swap songs with you as well, and look forward to someday when we can sit on the porch and do it, or on a stage and do it.
Yeah,
Okay, well, carry on.
very definitely. And we will be back next week with Rick Polari, who's from up in the Burlington, Vermont area.
Yeah.
And
Has a new book out.
has a new
Banjo
book,
Man.
Banjo Man.
Just got a copy.
Yeah, Rick,
That'll be fun.
Rick used to hang out with this, folk singer you may have heard of named Pete Seeger.
Oh, yes,
And,
yes.
His
Yeah.
I have
mentors are
heard of
Pete
him.
Seeger and
Utah
Utah Phillips. So
And
he's a great storyteller
He's
too.
quite the storyteller himself, and I'm hoping that we can convince him to play the Polish bagpipes, because it's something to be heard at least once in your life.
It's different.
It's very different from the
Is
Scottish.
it at most once, or?
Well, I'll leave that up to you.
We like him.
Well, I'm going to have to tune into that. Sounds wonderful.
It'll be fun. So again, thank you, and thanks everybody who watched live, and
Everyone who will be listening later. 'cause
Yeah.
we
Make
find
sure you
that
vote.
pe-
Everybody
yes,
vote.
Absolutely vote. Yeah,
I was
get
going to
your-
say vote early, vote often, but no, just vote once.
Vote once, and vote early if you can. Absolutely, and if you are doing it by mail, do that early or drop it off at your local board of elections. It's important. Everybody get out there and do it.
Yep. All right. Take care. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.